I think let's move up a little bit because I remember. What's so funny is I love Leslie's body because you really can see everything. it's like the best diagram. But when you're tucked under, there's this rounding here.
Okay, so let's talk about. Often you're told about, a teacher will tell you that this should be flat. Okay. Now what we tend to do when we tuck is we flatten across the pelvis here, but we get a bulge at the front of the thigh. All right. Now, if we take that inner spiral in a turned out position, lift and spread the toes, pull from the big toe mound back to the inner heel. Demi-plie for me for a second, just a little demi. Yeah. So the heels pull together. Then you turn, you're actually turning the inner thighs back. So the inner thigh goes back and the outer thigh goes back, and that creates the integrity of the leg. Now, when you stretch up from that demi, resist, resist, resist. There.
And it's amazing because immediately this really becomes flat.
That becoms flat because the muscle adheres to the bone, and that's what we're looking for.
And talking about the inner thigh, which is actually your inner thigh, when you turn out, it's the front of your leg, but you really can't engage your sartorius or your inner thigh muscle when you're tucked under.
No, you can't.
And so that's really why it's round, because it's just not doing anything. The minute that you actually you pull up your legs into the socket, you automatically get that definition, like that muscle starts to pop.
Right.
And that's how you know, like that roundness is like, so you can look at yourself
and
in the mirror, and if you have that roundness, then chances are you might be tucking.
And this width. This widening action that comes to the outer hips. You can see, I'll do it parallel as I start to turn back, and even with scoliosis.
You go like this, and it's pushed, it's
you
loaded
feel
forward.
That you can start to work into the body. You can work the inner body and support the spine instead of being here. You feel the length come through the side body.
So what are some of the things that like the viewers at home can do to help find that
is to put a
correct alignment?
You can put a block between the inner upper thighs.
Long waist.
Long waist is always good because that covers. Okay, and sometimes you can do it short as well, but this will cover more thigh. You go back to aligning the knees over the second toe, just like you would in ballet. You lift and spread the toes. Okay. You want to particularly pay attention to the little toe mount because that's going to fire up the perineals.
Okay.
The outer shin muscles. Then you want to hug those shin muscles.
So go like this.
And then turn
inward.
The thighs in on the block to find the support of the inner thighs.
Okay.
Okay? And you want that inner spiral to come all the way up to the waistline. So I'm going to give Teresa a hug.
Oh.
So she's inner spiral all the way up to the back ribs. There. That's right. Mm-hmm. So she's keeping the curve. Now she has a depth through the groins here, which means she can really bring those legs up into the pelvis.
Right. So that I can practice maybe then straightening and leaving that where that is.
Exactly. And straightening the legs, it's important to straighten the legs by pushing into the heels and using the muscles, not by jamming
by
the
pulling
knees
going
back.
But like this is up and
That's right. You don't want to jam the knees back and sit the shins. You want to use the shin muscles. Now the other thing you can do with your hands, do like a downhill skier. Face the camera. Okay.
Okay.
Downhill skier. Now cross your hands to your upper thighs. All right. Lift and spread the toes so you're hugging the shins in. And then manually turn your thighs in, back and wide, until you feel your sacrum spread. Your sit bones widen, pelvic floor widens, and you'll feel an opening come to the lumbar spine and the low back. That's one of the other things you
Okay.
start.
What about when you're turned out? Like say, like practicing in first position. How do you kind of negotiate that? Is there anything maybe that they can do? Or it's the same concept?
It's the same concept. Now it becomes a little bit, I've been told, I don't know this, that the psoas has more length in a parallel position. I don't know that for sure. Okay. But you could try the same thing, interned out. All right. Go into a second position.
Like a small second?
Yeah, you go a little wider. Maybe it's sort of a normal ballet position. All right. Now, if you think inner spiral, you lift the toes. You press the big toe mound inner heel into the floor, and you pull back, and you create that inner spiral. You create the inner spiral. That's right. All the way up to the sides of the waist. There. Now, Debbie, grand plie. Do grand plie.
The toes up.
That's hard with the toes up.
Yeah, it really is.
You track the knees over the toes. You got it. You got it. Now, as you come into, as you begin to stretch up, pull the heels, pull from the big toe to the inner heel. Pull the heels toward each other, resist the thighs apart.
Wow.
So you start to feel the inner thighs engaging more.
And you know what? I can't. I just tried to tuck a little bit, and I can't.
If you really keep the engagement of the inner foot and the inner thighs,
you can't.
You want to, because it feels too right.
Right, and you can, like, this is...
Why would you want to? It makes a tremendous amount of difference, too, when you do point work. Because you're already connected to the inner foot. You don't have to worry about rolling onto that outer foot as much because you've got the inner thigh.
It's supported. And you can also get higher on your releve because you're not sitting down into your leg. There's actually space. Besides saying, you know, the concept, because it's very crude, but, and it's not the most perfect way of saying it, but pee between your legs, you'll feel like your butt is out, and it for you, in a way it is, because your butt has been underneath you.
Right, and that's to be, but as one of my teachers used to say, the behind is behind you. That is why it's called the behind.
Right.
It's
so
not
even
underneath.
just that.
Just finding your finger on your tailbone and pubic bone,
and
sending those two toward the floor will give you a sense of pelvic floor facing the floor.
Yeah.
Which it should. Now, often what happens if you've been tucking for a long time, it's like a rubber band. You've been doing this for a long time, you've gripped and shortened these muscles through the inner body, you let go, and it's like boing, boing.
Yes, and it feels tight. It feels really tight in your lower back.
You're
like, oh my God, that doesn't feel right.
Right, so your butt is sticking way out, and then I'm telling you inner spiral, and you're going, yeah, right. What you talking about?
Okay. But I can't.
Exactly. How am I going to do that? And then you come into ballet class and you've let all this go, and lo and behold, the teacher comes over and goes.
It goes like that.
Right underneath you. So what's happened is you haven't continued that inner spiral all the way up
into the back.
Into the back body. All the way up. All the way
that
up.
Is our next. That's the back is the next one we have to do, because I want to try to build the body that way, like the alignment from the pelvis to the back and expanding that way, and we can get to the feet. So Leslie's going to come back with us.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Teresa.
And work with that. The last thing I would say is one of the things that I suggest not doing is the idea of pushing your legs back in grand plie and pushing your legs back in passe, because that's where all this stuff happens. It's kind of like relaxing and just allowing the bone to just sit where it is.
When you start pushing the knee back, you start the thigh bone. That's the seesaw principle. Knee goes back, thigh will go forward.
Exactly.
Bone will go forward to the side.
And so sometimes, in a way, it amounts to working less, but working with in a different direction with a different intention. But really, and it's nerve-wracking. I know it is. I know it's nerve-wracking because you're in class and you're trying to get the combinations and there's the music and there's
work on your own.
But this is why exercise
is a little bit on your own and turn out less. Try with less. Turn out a little less. See what you can use your inner thighs with. What can you maintain? Where can you really maintain the center thigh in this position without that cranking action? And then slowly you can work from a rotation, but not by falling out.
By having falling out.
Right.
So give it. Yes, and that's really important. I'm going to be doing a segment on personal study. Personal tinkering.
Okay.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Fun stuff.